I think we're live. Do I look live to you?
I will have to find out if you're live.
Not live.
No,
Am I not?
no,
I feel like I'm live.
you're not live.
Sure about this? Yes, I'm live. Why did you lie to me?
Oh, you are live.
I'm super live.
You
Like the
weren't showing
live
up in
list.
my follows list. Um,
Well, maybe you should, I don't know, tick a thing. It's probably a thing to tick.
oh yeah, the follow button. I hadn't ticked that.
Oh, there we
After the
go.
last.
Wow. You hadn't even
I'm, jo-
followed me.
I'm joking. I had.
I don't know what's going on then. But we're live. Hello, world.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the very fifth,
We're gonna call it
sixth,
season 2, episode 2. I like that.
sixth
Yeah,
episode
season
of
2, episode 2. That's what I said.
The Great Marriage. Burning Wheel, action, actual, action, role
We're
playing
really good at this.
game.
Oh shit. Gotta do this. Right. So,
So we're here for less time this time, so let's just start things off. Lee, you've changed Suria's beliefs a bit.
as I tend to do. So my first one was changed to I will not suffer to live under the same stars as my father's murderers. Find the blood of the lotus. I will prove my usefulness to the priests so that they will allow me access to the temple vault. It's all about wrangling priests. The other one is about being a princess and not begging as a princess. Poetry does not beg. I will ensure the advance that I have been granted by the assemblage is paid for in full by services rendered. We talked about this a bit after the session about like, yeah, the interesting part of this belief isn't really like convincing the assemblage to give me money, but like sort of doing them a service to pay them back. And so that's how I've written it. We'll probably have to adjust it a bit more when we actually get to that scene because this is basically future beliefs. And the
Yeah.
rest have remained the same. Knowledge isn't the only end. Everything is merely a means to it. Good mad scientist belief. See how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. Um. I feel like this is an odd question, right? But I want you to make me a circles roll. Like straight away, I want you to make me a circles roll.
Alright. I
Um,
assume it's for the assemblage.
this is for the assemblage.
Oh, the failure?
Um, I need to get the book out.
Got him. Always have your book ready, kids.
Yeah, so obstacle is 1. 2. Two only.
So it's base op 1, and then we add one more for
For disposition knowledge.
alright. So I am going to not get a routine test for circles. Two dice against op 2.
And the failure here, I think I'm going to tell you this in advance because I'd prefer. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, should I have this as a failure consequence, but then like not tell Lee and do the scene just role playing and try and work it out? But I think we get most of the same elements by me telling you, and we don't spend as long on it, possibly, because by not telling you, we could end up going in circles for quite some time. So the
Okay.
fatal consequence is that that a different spy, someone who is not from the assemblage, shows up pretending to be an assemblage contact, and they have at least. I'm not sure how we're going to determine whether you work that out, but like there will be the opportunity for roles to do so. Immediately they're going to identify themselves as an assemblage contract, right? And they're going to know who
Hello,
you
I'm a
are, right?
spy, but not the spy you think I am.
Yeah, precisely.
I'm Double Max Spyerson.
Hmm.
Right, play that role. As expected.
Nice.
Oof, that's a good start to this game. 2-1.
I will say, the assemblage contact is going to want to talk to you. They're just the second person who's going to show up and
It's
talk
just
to you,
busy, you know?
and not the first. They stayed up too late last night reading books.
Nerd. Alright. So where's the set?
um, this is um
So I can see it set probably in two places. Either in the house she's staying at right now, or alternatively, where like probably like just as she's leaving the palace. Maybe that would be too obvious for Sai, but
I think, yeah, because you left the palace. Hang on, it was the next day. It was morning. You left the palace midday or something. Um,
all that, yeah.
yeah, so maybe this gets delayed. Maybe this is not the next scene. Unfortunately, I've miscalculated where you were. I forgot. Um,
Sure, that's all right. We'll keep
uh,
that in the back of mind. Work on something else first.
yeah, we can. No, I think that's daft. I think I screwed up by asking for this role immediately, but we'll just construct
Roll
a
with
place
it.
for you to be to have this conversation. Um, so I think you you meet back up with Tepiani to discuss what happened this morning, like, or to tell him, I guess, what you're up to next, and like converse about what he's managed to buy, like new supplies in the city, etc. Because I assume you gave him some basic errands to do while he wasn't with you.
Well, I
So
didn't have the
you
money
can
to get
have
him to
you
buy
can have the morning
supplies.
off.
I was basically like, you can have the morning off because I'm sorry, I don't have money to pay for it. Shit.
Normally I would be making you do things, but I can't. So
Yep.
congratulations. Okay, and yeah, I think you've stopped for a bite to eat, and I think you notice that someone's been following you, trying to catch up to you. I think Tepiani. I think the camera shows them like asking someone further down the street if they see, like, talking to them, asking them a question, and that person points towards you, and they thank that person and then move on towards you.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, your jewelry, by the way, is like the the shine and the glamour that you applied to it has faded since the
Yeah.
previous day. Yeah,
I yeah, I forgot about that for the like scene with the general.
yeah. Um,
So we've got someone approaching me. What do they look like?
I think they're a lady in their 40s. They're short, quite plump. They've got a small. I think they're carrying a um woven bag with various things in it. It looks quite heavy, and they're sort of lurching this thing around. They walk towards you with like small, hurried steps, and as they reach you, they pat you like immediately, like pat you, like touch you on the arm, and say, "Oh, my poor heart, just stay here a moment. I have, oh, it has been catching up to you. Oh, my dear. Oh, I'll have another one of those buns." And then the man running the stall passes her a small steamed bun, and she takes a mouthful of it and says, "Oh, I've not got long. We really must talk. Very important." And then she like leans towards you and puts her hand like over her mouth in like the most obvious sharing a secret way ever. It's like, "I'm your contact." And she winks at you.
Excellent. So how does this work?
I mean, you wanted to get something from us, from the assemblage?
Of course. I will require an advance and access to the feather. And like when she says the feathers, like it's probably known what she means. Like sort of the synced feathers, which allow for like long range communication. There's like some
Yeah, I think
alchemy bullshit which allows it that.
yeah, she furrows her brows and says, both of those are difficult. We'd have to. I could help you with that tomorrow, probably. Um, the funds, the feathers. Yes, yes, we'll be able to help you with that as well, but that will take a little while.
Excellent.
But we will need to provide the funds. We will need to know what you're using them for.
Well,
And
sorry. And
and it would also be helpful if you'd fill us in on all the things you've been doing. You've been gone a while.
of course. Alright, Ollie. I feel like there's like a code phrase somewhere in here that like might have or might not have been said. I feel like it's weird if like somebody goes up to you and is like, "I'm the part of a secret society," and like,
Yeah, it is.
where's my like the owl flies over the moon?
Do you ask her that?
I think the one who's supposed to like say the first line is always the one who makes contact.
That's true.
And like I assume like maybe she's already said it. Right? Like here's my question. I want to roll something to try to like see if this is legit basically.
I think what you're doing there is you're rolling your half. You're saying your half of the code phrase and trying to read if she just like completely blanks you, um, or not.
Yeah. What even is that?
Um, I I feel like using cryptography for all general spy shit might not be the best way to do it, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably the quickest. We could also just call it a flat perception roll. Um,
Doesn't. Yeah, I think cryptography is probably close.
mm.
You can take cryptography.
um,
What's the failure here? Like she manages to like they probably like somehow figured out one of the passphrases.
yeah. Failure is they have a passphrase. It's an oldish one, but it's one that you remember,
It's
right?
recent enough for my purposes.
Yeah, it's recent enough for your purposes. Um,
Oh, I wanna.
I think I think obstacle. Obstacle is probably 3.
Okay.
Because yeah, because I think they do have one of these past code phrases. It's just like, is it one that's recent enough? Like, do you recognize that they would have changed it? That kind of.
Okay, so I add one cryptography because I'm forking in symbology, and then I'm just gonna roll. Who knows where we will land? Look at that. Not failure. Good job, dice.
Yeah. So you give. What's your code phrase that you give her?
I think like Suria, she's asking about like secrets, right? So Suria probably like sort of grabs her shoulder and tries to like steer her to the side. Says something to the effect of like, I think she just says the walls have ears. It's like she like steers her away from like this sort of crowded place.
Yeah. And she like she looks at you and goes freezes for a moment, her eyes wide. She's struggling to remember the proper reply. Um, and then she I think
So like the other thing is
I
also like the code phrase is very worded in a way which can like be just a statement as well. Like steer somebody aside, say the walls have ears is like not that weird a thing to be doing on its own.
yeah. Um, I think she nods at you and she says, "Yes, yes, better to be out of the way. I I've just remembered. I silly old me. I forgot to give you the code phrase. The, um, our our great uncle sends his regards."
It is good
And she
that it
looks
is
at you
well.
expectantly.
And like Surya is probably like as she turns around, right? Surya's probably got her eyes narrowed, but she does say like the other half of it. It's an old one, I think, is what's going
It
on.
is. Yeah.
No longer new. But yeah, I take her aside, sit her down, and let's see, actually want to say I require these reasons is to continue my research into, and like she looks around as if she's just like, no, I'm worried somebody might hear the matter we discussed.
The matter?
Hmm.
Your ongoing research?
Yes.
Um, well, that can be arranged. I'm not sure. Didn't you leave with some other people?
Hmm. Sadly, they have not survived the trip.
Oh, oh dear. Oh, poor you. It must have been terrible.
Such are the stakes of this venture. Tell me, how's the local chapter, been doing?
Oh, there's always someone coming, someone going. It's just little old me sat in the boss's office, writing down everything I can. I'm really not the hub of the operation, but you know how things are. You stay in one place too long, and everything just sort of seems to fall into your lap.
Hmm. So, like, I'm sort of aware that most of my motives have already been laid out in the open, right?
Hmm.
So, Suria is sort of like implying a secondary thing here, or trying to.
Okay.
Uh, I think what she says is, it seems my cover has gone over well with the general.
Yes, he does always enjoy seeing us. Lots of work for alchemists. Um, of course, I'm just a support member. I'm only helping in the great um, quest that
Of
we're all
course.
working on.
If you had any other questions, I suppose you should ask them now. I'm
Um,
sorry, I have another appointment.
I, I'm expecting that you won't want to be uh, imposing on the assemblage's goodwill.
No, of course not. Payment and services rendered, of course. If you need a favor, I'm always willing to provide one for a member of the assemblage.
I'll I'll have to. I don't really manage these operations. You understand? I just take notes. Um,
Of course.
but um,
If you did need something, I'm sure I would be able to provide it.
no,
So
no.
long.
I'll just need to talk to someone a bit first. Just have a little word in their ear. Have a bit of a. Oh, I'm very sorry. I don't. I shouldn't have taken so long to you know say the words. But I don't do this very often.
It is quite alright. Is there a falsehood roll here?
Um,
That's my
no.
question. All right.
No. I don't know why I slotted this person into like least competent spy ever, but
The best kind of spy.
uh,
Yeah. Suria's basically like ready to break off this conversation.
um, I think she pats you in the arm again and says, "If you when you need to get back in contact, um, go to the Tenala Lodge. It's a meeting house from people from a different city, um, and ask for Auntie Sita. They'll take a message for me there."
Thank you. I appreciate it. And as she leaves, I'm gonna try to tail her.
Nice, nice. Um, oh god. Um, so yeah, I think she probably walks a couple of blocks before she thinks to start trying to watch for a tail. But then again, doesn't really matter how long you tell someone for, as long as like they're putting the effort, like as long as they eventually put in the effort to try and lose the tail or notice you. So I feel like this is an obvious inconspicuous versus observation role.
Sounds about
Um,
right.
Sounds about right. Uh,
Oh, inconspicuous is also best. That fun. Big fan of Will.
I think this lady has an observation of an
-10.
extremely well trained 2. Um,
That's better than me.
yep. She's been working as a professional spy for at least a while. Um,
Clearly. He's so good at this. Alright. Make that test. So if I fail, what happens? Let's go to failure first.
Shit, sorry. Um, yeah, so I think if you fail, um, let's go with she notices that she's being tailed, and she doesn't go where she's planning to go. She will have to go there eventually, right? But you will have to continue to like. Okay, so are you doing this? Are you doing this carefully, like patiently, or are you doing this like
Oh yeah,
normally?
for sure. Like she's
You're doing this
carefully.
carefully, right? Yeah. So if you fail on carefully, then like she keeps you wandering around the whole day, like until evening, and in the evening she finally has to go back and a make her report and b like go back to her house and sleep. Um, but if you fail, she's going to lead you somewhere, and then I think it's going to be somewhere that someone else from her organization is, right? I'm trying to work out how this works, to be honest.
Alright, like what are you trying to figure out here?
No, okay. So what she's going to do is she's going to lead you into a dodgy area. You're going to see her walk up to some rough-looking man, beckon them over, produce out of her bag an obvious purse full of money and pass it to them, and then three, two brawny men and one brawny woman are going to stalk towards you, drawing knives.
Yeah, that's
I'm laying
great.
that one out in too much detail, right?
Yeah, you could have just said, let leads you into a trap.
Leads you into a trap. I could have done. There we are.
It's cool. Alright, so I am rolling inconspicuous versus 2 dice. And I'm going to take 1 extra dice for working carefully. And why don't you make a roll? So, did you already make a
Oh
roll?
no, I've done it already. I've been as
successful as possible.
observant as she's capable of being.
Yeah, that's easy. It only requires 4 successes. Oh, there you go.
Whoa.
5 successes. My luck's back, baby.
Yeah. So I think you see her trying her best to notice a tail, but she just she's not really capable of disguising herself very well. And at one point she gets too hot, so she has to sit down and take a rest in the sun. I think you've lost her at that point, and you're sort of panicking a bit. You walk around the corner and you see her sat underneath a tree, fanning herself.
Then
and
immediately I run back into the corner.
yeah, and eating some fruit. Yeah, I think you follow her, and she eventually reaches a noble house. It's definitely I think this is it's a merchant house that has been it's built out of wood rather than stone, so it's not part of the Ottoman aristocracy. But it's been redecorated extensively, and recently it's been repainted in partly the Chandran fashion. So the door itself, instead of being a plain color, has been repainted in the pattern of a Chandran noble house.
Ooh, do I recognize it?
Do you have livery wise? Or
I don't
no,
currently have livery
I
wise.
don't think you do. I think you're gonna have to I don't think, unless you want to make a roll on because I don't think any of your skills currently describe something that would say, yes,
No.
I know a lot about my own nation's myriad noble houses. You'd know people who are near to you or related to you, but if this person isn't, then you would never have.
Never bothered.
You've maybe seen the pattern before, but you wouldn't know who to peg it to.
It's I never bothered to properly learn it.
For example, I'm sure we could both recognize a couple of different tartan patterns, but there's no chance we're ever going to say, oh yes, that is of course the MacLeod clan.
There's more than one tartan pattern?
Precisely. Every Scottish family has its own tartan.
Pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah. So she enters the house, right?
She goes round the side to a servant's entrance and then enters the house.
Okay. I make note of where the house is. And I'm really trying to decide whether or not I want to into the house. Because I like trouble that way. Let's just read some of this stuff. Yeah, you know what? I think she would. Sneak in the house, what could possibly go wrong?
So
far.
So yeah, it's This is a two-story house.
Yeah.
It's up in the main. It's like towards the bottom of the plateau, but it's in the main like walled
So
part of the city. Um,
what
it's
I'm
standing. There's a small alleyway around one side of it, and the other side attaches onto another similar house. They're trying to look more separate than they are. They've got separate like roofs, right? So the
hmm,
roof slopes up and then slopes down again.
like the wall attaches
But the wall attaches
to
on
inside.
the left side. There's an alley around the right side that she went into, to like presumably go into a servant's entrance. Um,
So I'm looking around trying to figure out like, okay, where this house would I be able to like basically eavesdrop into whatever conversation she's gonna be having. I'm sort of scanning to
hmm.
find like, oh, here's the study which looks out over this spot. So the window over here, through the window over here, I'll be able to hear something.
um, I think you immediately know it's not going to be that easy. Like anyone with any sense in a hot climate puts the place that they're going to be sitting most of the time um, away from the sun. And this, unfortunately, is a building where the sun, like, it's a building that has a pleasant aspect from the outside because the sun shines down onto the front of the building. Um, but that would be making the front rooms hotter than would be pleasant to sit in.
Yeah.
So
So it's the back
no matter,
rooms then.
yeah. So it's going to be it's going to be towards the back of the house. Um,
Better. Uh, all right. I guess I carefully make my way down the alleyway. Like,
yeah, and then looking around
and
into the back courtyard, there's a small open area. There's a couple of chickens pecking around in the dirt. There's a lady who's hanging some washing out on the line. Two other women who are pounding at washing like through the um, laundry grater things. I've forgotten the name for them. Mangles. Yeah, they're mangling their washing. Uh,
I don't know what
in
that
in
is.
two sort of big soapy vats. Um, there's a small boy is like playing with a ball or something. Um, the door that leads into the house that the person you were following went into is just behind you.
Hmm. So from here, I still don't see any windows, stuff like that, right?
Um, if you went into the courtyard and just hung around, like you can see that there's a big window open. There's a double window open at the top story, and there's a couple of other windows open on the ground floor. Um, so if you did hang around in this back courtyard, you would be able to overhear some stuff, but it would just be
Very
pretty obvious.
obvious.
Yeah.
I hate the sneaking shit. Uh, what I got? Yeah, I think like Suria assesses the situation,
Come on,
looks
go into the
around,
house.
and is
Go
like,
into the house.
eh, I know where the house is. And like turns around and walks away. Unless something happens in the meantime to tempt her into the house.
I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah, he's not cut out for like climbing stuff in the first place. So I don't think she's gonna do the whole like, yeah, let's just sneak around.
Oh, okay. Actually, I think actually you do hear something, right? You're round the back of the house. And you hear a very distinctive, loud shouting noise. You hear the indistinct tones of of your rival Kana scolding a servant from inside the house somewhere.
I should have guessed. I'm just going to go around the front door and just knock on it.
Yeah. Okay. The I think you can from standing right next to the front door, you can actually hear this. You can hear this scolding continuing in a more indistinct like fashion. There's the vague sound of a raised voice from it, and this stops abruptly. And there's a gap, and then a young male servant opens the door, and he's got like a really visible red handprint on one side of his face. And he bows to you, and he says, yeah, he bows to you. He looks up at you, and he bows again and says, "Pateri, I'm sorry. The master is not in. The mistress is not in. Please return another day."
Like, she sort of leans in to inspect his face. Are you quite sure about that?
Please, I will take your name. Return any time.
That slap seems awfully fresh.
He looks up at you, and he just doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, she nods at him and like just walks through the door.
He sort of weakly tries to stop you, like, "Mistress, please, the the mistress is not."
Oh, come now. I'm sure she would welcome an old college friend.
And then you turn like you walk into this like entranceway, and it's a short entrance that leads backwards onto a horizontal hallway that is wider and then branches off into different rooms. And stood just around the corner of this, arms crossed, foot tapping, is Adept Kana, scowling at you.
I would
And
appreciate it.
as soon as the servant walks around the corner, she takes one step towards him and slaps on the other side of his face and says,
Yeah.
That's for not doing your job at the door. I don't know what this woman is playing at, hiring people like you." And she turns across to you, is like, "What are you doing here?"
Just visiting. Also, I'd like to raise a complaint. If you sent more talented spies, have happened.
Kana's mouth drops open and her eyes go wide. And she turns to the servant and says, "Go tell your mistress she has a guest." He stands there for a moment. So she shoves him. "Go on, go and tell her. I don't care if she's meeting with someone." Turning back to you in a whisper, she says, "What are you doing here?"
Trying to find out who has an interest.
"Yeah."
Perhaps you could enlighten.
I don't think you're telling the truth. I think you're here, chasing after something that you've always been chasing after. Let me tell you, these people, don't trust them. Okay? Don't join them. If you do, I'll fucking kill you.
Hmm. Dangerous game. Living in a house with people you don't trust.
She nods at you and says, now, I'm doing you a favour by not throwing you to the lions straight away for no reason. I could. Right? I could. You walk straight in that door, tell me about spies that you're following. If all I wanted to do was get in deeper with this lot, that's a golden ticket. I'm warning you, though. Instead, I'm giving you free help. Just turn around and leave.
What's Tepiani doing?
Tepiani has picked up some tableware and is inspecting it.
Yeah, I think like Suria like looks back to him, looks back to her, and is like, I think I'll be able to handle myself. They already know him. Nothing's gonna change that.
There's a difference between knowing you're here and literally knocking on their door.
I've
I
done
can
that
get
too.
away with. I don't know who you think you are to try and get away with this stuff.
I appreciate the warning. And she sits like back down, probably on a chair somewhere, and waits.
Hmm. I think, yeah. So Kana sits. Yeah, I think you've walked through into like you've looked around the corner into a room with um assorted seats in it, right? Like wooden seats with cushions on.
Hmm.
And just taken a seat uninvited. Carla follows you in and sits down herself opposite you, legs crossed, arms crossed, scowling, and stands up again, and then walks to the other side of the room, uncomfortably. Tepiani puts the thing he was looking at down and follows you into the room and stands behind your chair. And finally, the servant, who's still like wincing at the bruise and slap mark on either side of his face, walks in, bows, and says, "My apologies. Mistress Melati Dayang was in an important meeting and instructed me to say that she was out. Please, honoured guest, Mistress Melati Dayang. And he bows again, and a matronly woman with grey hair under a headscarf in her house colours sweeps into the room and seats herself opposite you.
So let me just check. That name is also the name of the.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, this is Dayang Enku.
There we
Whoops.
go.
One down.
No relation.
Mm.
Okay.
Again, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm just asking if the name implies it. It doesn't, right?
It is meant to, yeah, because your naming system works on the like matrilineal, right? So you have your name plus mum's name.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? Because like generally it doesn't follow that pattern at all.
No, but
But
like I
in
thought
this
that was what
world
you
we
said.
are.
That was what you
That's sort of.
said at like character creation was Suria Bulan. That's how it's working. Like so, no matter if that works
Well,
strictly that way
let's go with that.
yeah. So matrilineal, like yes, this does like either she or someone she has the same name as Melati's mother, right?
I would like to know why you have sent someone to weasel out information about me.
She leans forwards and says, Suria Bulan. Yes, my woman was just telling me about you.
Your woman is not very competent.
I can't afford better.
Then perhaps you should not try at all.
She does her duties most of the time. Sometimes she gets an idea into her head and is a little above her capabilities.
You have not answered my first question. Why?
Um, Please, there's no need to be rude.
That stage is long past. I'm merely responding with the appropriate amount of respect.
Um, She shakes her head at you and says, No, you certainly ought to know that I am worthy of much more respect than you are currently giving me. At the very least, you could address me by my title.
Do I actually know who this woman is?
Um, I think, yeah, she's a noble in the same way that you are, which means that like you ought to be calling her like Puteri, if you're just addressing her like without using her full name. So like either addressing her by her full name or saying Puteri, or like because you're not a full princess, right? You're not a full. So
Princess of a
although
princess.
yeah, you have like, technically you sort of are, but like people don't get told off for not calling you the title, whereas she is, right? Um, and that's kind of like that doesn't need to be told to you because she's rich enough to own a full like if she's rich enough to own or like have a house this large, you ought to be paying her that respect, right? I don't think I'm I don't think
Yeah.
I'm like tricking you in this situation.
No,
You were
no, no.
intending to be disrespectful, so like yeah,
Definitely. Right? Like
yeah.
the words that were left unsaid when I said appropriate amount of respect was none at all.
Yeah. So and she's saying like I do expect you to give me the appearance of respect.
Perhaps you should answer my question first, and then we can speak about niceties.
Tell me, are you still interested in performing favors in exchange for some ready funds? I'm quite capable of providing for you. Although I'm glad you didn't press on the issue of feathers, it would have made my servant extremely distressed. She had no idea what you were talking about.
She seemed like she didn't.
I hate feeling like I need to defend my servant.
Perhaps you should put.
She is very good at what I pay her for.
I do not care about the competence of your servants. I cared about why you sent one after me.
Unfortunately, I'm unable to respond to you in the way you want. Because to explain that, I must once again continue to apologize on her behalf. I never ordered anything like that. She thought she saw an opportunity to impress me. These things happen.
Lying, right? Pretty clear she's
Yes,
lying.
she's lying.
Hmm. In that case, if you wish to say nothing, I have nothing more to say. Surya just stands up and starts to leave.
I think she calls after you and um, give my regards to Demang Labat next time you meet him.
I'm sure you'll see him earlier than I do. Is that it?
Yeah, and then like I think as you're walking out the door, or like perhaps as you're walking around the corner, because this is a front room, so you can probably overhear like a brief glimpse of their conversation before they walk out of the room. But yeah, Diane Enku says to Kana something along the lines of, "She, I can see why you said you'd never go along with her. It must have been." No, I think it just trails off. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think.
that's a good trail off. Like I assumed you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Do we? So I think like for the next few days, Suria is probably not. She's not actively seeking out priests yet.
Yeah.
He is waiting for the assemblage to contact her.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it takes them another day. Like on I think this is it the calendar ticks around to a day of the week that that people who work in the inner city are allowed to take off for religious or other purposes, right?
I don't know. This is a holiday, man. All right.
No, it's like a day of it's a weekend, but like midweek, and specific to those people. So like it's their day of rest. And I think on that day, yeah, then that's the day that the assemblage contact is actually going to get in contact with you. Should we take a quick break though?
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Cool.
watch this. I've got. Oh no, this doesn't work with desktop audio. I just realized. Can't do music. I'm smart. Oh no, I can. I'm just gonna. No, if I mute you, I can't hear you. Oh well, no music for us, I guess. We'll be right
There we
back.
are. Tragic.
See y'all later. And we're back.
Okay. So I think it's the morning of the scribes and clerks rest day, and as you're eating some breakfast in the merchant's house that you're staying in, there's a insistent knocking on the door. The I think the merchant's the merchant's servant goes to the door and starts shouting at the person outside. It's like, "Go away! We're eating breakfast. We're not open until this afternoon. Go away!" And then the person from outside shouts, "I'm here to see your guest. Let me in, damn it!"
Yeah, I think like Suria heads over to like a window or just a door and opens it.
Hmm. Yeah, and they stand there and they look up at you and they're like, I haven't thought of a damn code phrase to match the walls have our ears. I should have taken longer on the break. um, they say, we need to have a long discussion.
And like sort of motions him into the walls have ears.
I didn't think of a reply either. Oh, I'm the worst one.
You know, the first time I thought like that was a code phrase. I didn't think of a code phrase.
uh, um, he says,
So too do the doors.
and ours listen more keenly. Yes, that's over with.
Do all spies have an issue with code phrases?
For the record, he didn't have an issue with the code phrase.
Okay.
I just didn't think to myself, wait, in about a minute's time, I'm going to have to seem competent. So I ought to think of this in advance.
Okay, so he's super smooth with it.
He's impatient. He's hurried with it. He says, well, let's. Is there somewhere here we can talk?
Yes. She brings him over to like basically a room specific for guests, not a guest room. That makes sense.
Yeah, you bring her through. You bring him through to the like workshop area where like this merchant moved out of. And I think there's
There's probably
packages on the wall. I think you've set up your bedding, right? There's the merchant's wife has given you a couple of there's one bed and one bedroll, but like
there's
the
probably
mattress on
like a bunch of different liquids just boiling away slowly.
yeah,
This and
you've
stuff
like
like that.
moved a bunch of stuff away from the counters where it was previously being held. Like there's piles of stuff on the end of each counter, and then small open spaces that your alchemy workshop
Yeah.
equipment is set up on. Yeah, so it's like twice as much of a mess as your workshop normally would be. Um, yeah, he looks around and takes a seat on your bed, and shoots Tepiani a look and then waves at him like, "Get out."
He stays.
Really?
I've had
No,
enough
no.
problems with spies. I would rather not risk.
On your own head be it. Well,
I require resources and access to Feather.
mm,
Any favors you require of me will of course be performed to the best of my ability.
mm. Well, first things first then. Last thing we heard, Suria had gone off with a very well-funded and well-put-together expedition to find some lost temple in the middle of the jungle, in the middle of nowhere. And now you're saying you're her and you're here. Must be 500 bloody miles away.
A
What are you
successful
up to?
expedition brings new leads. I'm sure you heard my conversation with the general.
I didn't know what to make of that.
Well, it was true.
Didn't you say
Tony,
you hadn't found anything? Just old secrets? Old prayers and...
I said I had found old secret. Papers within led me to believe that the next clue will be found within the vault.
The vault here?
Vault here.
But... For God's sake. The Demanglabat lived here years. I knew him well.
He obtained access to the vault.
No. But he never... He stopped trying. I remember him saying, but this was a long time ago, there's no point, it won't be there. We've got to look for older ruins. He thought this place was too new.
Found older ruins. The older ruins told me to come here.
Well, I don't think we'll be much help getting you inside.
I will arrange for that. I simply need some resources. This abode is not cheap.
Those secrets you said you found.
Yes.
What sort of secrets?
An old Auntson tale, and crucially, she starts taking stuff out of she looks around for I think she probably hides it somewhere. So she reaches down somewhere, probably shoos him off the bed, pulls it up, digs in and pulls out the white bark samples of what he had found in terms of the what do you call it? The red mist?
The mist, and then also you had some decayed substance of something, but you didn't take a sample of the actual creature, right? Of the monster you found in the temple.
Not a monster, just what it was exuding.
Yeah, you had a sample of some stuff that it had corrupted and destroyed. Yeah. I think he takes them from you one by one. He looks at them, looks over them, and says, "These are really unique, I think. Not my area of expertise."
Of course. I have been perusing the research notes which came with it. And she mentions like another stack of paper. I will of course be expecting a copy.
Yes, we can do that. We can certainly do that. Research notes. Any limits you want to put on this? People, general dispersal, or limited to a few names?
General just fine. So long as the antidote he like mentions to like bark is propagated with it.
I'll see to it. Take a day or so. Feathers, who are you talking to?
My mentor is code for it. I guess they use actual names.
Yeah.
Sudipta.
Sudipta. Oh. He'll want to see this stuff.
I'm sure he will.
Want to wait till after, or talk to him first?
He'll probably have already seen.
These notes?
I
Or the
expect so.
samples? Mm, could be, could be. Well, you said you got them from the temple.
Hmm.
Not lots of notes, then.
Not odds and notes. Some organization called the Bud of the Lotus. I will need more information on them.
Moved into the city a while ago, not sure exactly when. Not the sharpest operators, but they've got a few people who know their business.
We have no formal ties with them.
Between you and me, we've probably got some crossover.
I'll pretend you didn't say that. So, recap. You'll need the funds. I shall need a copy of the return to me. I shall require access to feathers and information about the look. And perhaps also. What was her name again? I got the Dayang part. I forgot the rest.
So she is Diang Enku.
Dayang Anku.
Speaking of lotuses, she's one of the better operators. I'd call her public face or something. Handles whatever people they have in the general's offices in the temple. I don't know much about those. We don't. The Assemblage doesn't have anyone in the temples at the moment. We used to, but now Damang Labat isn't in the city, no one's pressuring us, so we don't bother. People are more interested in, well, if you want to start getting ahead on insider deals on rare ingredients from the Otson jungles, then we have enough operatives running that racket. This is a sore point. It's a waste of resources. The Assemblage isn't about earning money, it's about knowledge. But well, the traders do us good. They'll be funding your stay indirectly.
Exactly. Are there any favors you require of me?
There will be. I've had people, well, there's always the general work. Send in good information, get out favors, rewards. The notes you've got will be very sufficient for your previous expedition. I was expecting, well, I came here with orders to cut you off if you didn't have anything good. Won't be necessary. Many congratulations, etc. More funds? Next stuff? Yes. We've had the merchants have been complaining. The trading faction. They're worried that their precious research materials are going to get blockaded by this refugee crisis. And they're just looking for ways to make the situation less explosive, if they can. One of those is this illness going around. Look into it, work out if it's natural or someone's doing this for a reason. If it's the second, then tell us, we'll work out what to do next. Stop it. React. If it's the first, no skin off our backs. They're worried if someone is doing it for a reason, then it's more likely to end up disrupting things for them. If it's just an ordinary plague, it'll run itself out. Opportunism is a risk, but
Resolve the plague.
look into it. Work out if it's being done or if it's just happening. If it's the first, find out how it works. Tell us how it works. Someone, if they care, can look into stopping it.
That should not be an issue.
There'll be more, of course. But that'll do for now. We'll
Very
need you to
well.
keep... How long are you staying here?
I am as yet uncertain. I'll stay as long as it takes.
I'll keep track of things for you. Make sure you don't get into a position like you did last time in terms of favours owed, gained.
Thank you.
You'll be hearing from me next time. Well, get this sorted first. So answers.
I would like to know.
Sita Azmi.
A pleasure. And I guess she shows him the way out. Assuming that we know which way to go out from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have some time. Like, I'm
Hmm.
assuming it's gonna take a while before the priest, like, are actually have, like, pre-used documents and are ready to stop.
You've left it a couple of days, so I think if
A
you...
couple?
I think so, right?
Or have I? Has it been
I
a
think
couple of
so.
days?
I think you gave them the document
I gave them
on the
documents.
first day, and then the later that day you went to see Diane Enku, and then the next, like you said you'd just hang around waiting for the assemblage guy to show up. So it took a couple of days for the week to tick round to the scribe's day off.
Okay.
Um,
Gonna mark a couple of days of practice. Solid fine.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think Tepiani like talks to you afterwards. He's like, that makes that make a lot more sense. That conversation, I mean. I was wondering why that noblewoman, what's her name? Diane? Why she had the same like decorations on her vases, etc. and stuff. That there was a knife she had that had that same design on it as well. I guess it makes sense if she's part of this organization.
Hmm. Here's we'll have to watch our back. I am going to change from the thieves. About plague afflicted. If it has been a few days, then I guess I should go see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think before you leave, I think Tapiani says, I'm Suria. I think it might be time to start taking this a bit more seriously. I don't think I'll do my best, of course. You're paying for, but if we get jumped by 3 or 4 guys, and these are noble people we're talking about, they can afford thugs. It might be a good idea to put something together. I don't know. He's like scratching his head.
I'll have some countermeasures. Can only go so far. Thugs.
Mm. Maybe you should have asked for more money. Hired a second guy.
I doubt that will be necessary. There is a certain point at which you attract too much attention. This is still the general city.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's not go into any of their houses for a while, right?
No promises, but I will try. Yeah, like, I know what I'm gonna spend my practice days doing.
Okay. Yeah, nice. I guess we'll roll. Like we've got some time. You've booked in. We can roll for what you've made when we get there. But like it ought to be a general countermeasure rather than a like
Thinking like smoke.
yeah something you could something that is not incredibly specific to one situation. Um,
Always
but you've
bombs,
got
Ali.
always
Always
bombs.
bombs.
No, I changed the rules. You can't make bombs anymore.
Again?
Well, no. Like we've talked about it. Like it will be difficult for you to make bombs, right? Um,
I disagree about your assessment of that hack. I feel like it's still pretty easy. Bombs. We'll talk about it
somewhat more
later.
difficult. Yeah, we can. Yeah. um, yeah. So I think you like making your way up the temples. The lower city feels much the same on this day, but the upper city feels a bit more alive and bustling. There's you can see this the upper city's like working lower middle class is out on the streets for their weekday off. So there's a lot of people. They're not wearing especially high quality clothes, but they're wearing their nicer clothes, right? They're showing off a bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
relaxing in town
Town
square.
clothing.
Yeah, um, but it's not like the clothes they wear every day for work. It's as well as that. There's people wearing um, more jewelry because there's a general flow of traffic in the same way that you're going as well. There's a lot of people going to the temple today. Um, And I think as you reach towards this temple district, you start hearing the sounds of flutes and drums playing from the temple forecourts as people as the priests welcome the people coming in to make prayers to their ancestors. I think the temple district itself is set out in a wide square. There's an area all the way around that is clear normally, but has small stalls set up in it today, and processions of 2 or 3 priests moving around in a clockwise direction. And these are the people playing the instruments. Around the edges of the square is a series of the temples themselves, built upwards from the ground in stone. And the front of them are hung with coloured cloths and have people walking inside to say their prayers and change into ritual garb. And at the centre of the square, there's this great stepped downwards pyramid. From everywhere you're standing, you're able to see part way down into it. And today it's quite busy. There's tomb guards dressed in some of the same armor that you recognize from your old friend Teotsun.
Friend is a strong word.
Yeah, your companion Teotsun. And these tomb guards are leading groups of 5 or 6 downwards. People arrive in the square wearing one kind of clothes. They go into a temple. They change into the same clothes that the priests wear, and then they go downwards to officiate at their own ceremonies. Sometimes with assistance from priests, sometimes on their own. Down at the entrances to whatever tomb that their ancestors are buried in. I think you would have been told. I think when you arrive in the square, I think you likely ask a random priest about like where the documents. Like you say, I'm Suria de Blanc.
Where the
I
archives
get some
are.
document. Where the archives. And they point you in the direction of one of the temples off to the right-hand side of the great tombs. Going in here, there are still people. This is actually one of the busier temples, especially today. There's a great frieze on the wall opposite the entrance of one of the historical exemplar figures. Right, there's an image of the great king of Otsun, who was the founder of the nation, and he's actually not the center of the image. I think he's sat thrown on the very left hand side, facing left, so facing off outside of this frieze, facing downwards into his court, and then behind him there is this great table and a man wearing a pointed hat is sat holding a pen and moving beads on abacus, and in front of him is this huge pile of lead. Like this is the temple of the people who claim descendancy from this very ancient exemplary scribe of the kingdom, right?
Hmm.
I'm sure there are stories about they aren't exciting stories.
Oh, he did the math. Gaze upon this map.
But people take like you see people moving up to the image and touching it and then touching their foreheads and then moving off to one side to be given these ritual clothing to go down to visit their ancestors. I think there are there are priests standing around to welcome and as you enter, one of them almost immediately comes over to you and bows and says, Buteri, today may not be the best day to visit this temple. Tomorrow will be much less busy.
I'm afraid time is of the essence. I would rather. I would rather you see me today.
If you must have it that way, then of course we will accommodate.
I have my time.
What is your name?
Putri Minang Suria Bulan. I'm here about the documents you have recently.
I think I heard about this. Commander Hackley, I think, brought them here.
It is he.
Hmm. If you'll excuse me, I will go and find the high priest.
Of course. Yeah, she's just like tapping her foot, waiting, looking around,
Yeah.
studying like the carvings all around her.
Yeah, I think there's a series of stone plaques covered with lists of names.
A lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
you
a lot
know,
of there's a big genealogy here.
usual tourist stuff.
I think some of the a couple of the names have um you see that there's been wax poured into the gaps and then scraped off, so they look like filled in red. Um,
Okay.
um, the high priest comes down and he looks quite tired. It's sort of about midday, but he's already been working for most of the he's had a long day already. He bows to you and says a short blessing,
I
praising,
guess
wishing your grandparents peace in their repose. Yeah,
I guess I respond with there's probably a customary response which he gives.
yeah. And he says, "Come, I have a small room. It might be easier to talk there. Although I'm sorry, I can't give you much time."
Well, I suppose I shan't need much time then.
I hope not.
I guess we're walking there as we have to stop, right? She's just getting straight to business.
Yeah.
I require access to your vaults. If you complete the translation and analysis of those papers, you will realize the vault is not a tomb. It is a message left to you by your ancestors.
I think he stops in his tracks and he sighs as well. I'm still working on. There's not many people who can read the old language.
Exactly. So you will need my help. Why I should be part of the team which goes into the vault.
That's another matter. Come, let's sit down and look over the papers a bit first, and then get down. Yes. Discuss places where we have common ground before places where we might have difficulties.
Sure. I guess, like, what does he pull out, and, like, are there issues with the translation here?
I think, yeah, he brings you in, he pulls out the blessing first. He starts going through it with you. I think he makes a brief summary of what he's got so far, and he asks you a couple of questions. But it's nothing where like you disagree with him on what it's saying. He seems quite open and friendly at this point. But then when you reach the other document, like he's talking to you based on the copy, right? He brings out the copied version for you to talk over. He has that on the. He says, "This is the copy. The original has been moved to our archives. We're making a third copy at the moment for translation and usage purposes. This kind of document, we understand that it's not an original, but the nature of your rubbings means that it must be treated with some care by necessity."
Of course.
The blessing, you have my most sincere thanks. Such a thing, even in a abandoned temple, has a great deal of worth and value. It will be a matter for young priests to discuss for years to come, how our current blessings seem to have changed from these ancient ones.
I am
It's a point of some
sensing.
pride. It's a point of some pride, actually. There are remarkably few changes in some of the wordings. Please go on.
I'm sensing there is a big issue that you are about to raise, and I would rather you get to the point, so to speak.
It's unfortunate just as when we're teaching our younger priests, they often get very excited about certain phrases and words that we've learnt in our experience are metaphorical. And this, combined with the inexperience of youth, often we will have young men and women who come to us and start demanding that we send missions back into the forests to recover old temples, to reconsecrate them, or claiming wild theories about our holies of holies, about the king and his eventual fate. In this city, we don't teach that the king was, in fact, immortal of body. We understand the old writings in a different way. His guidance, his foresight, the rules and strictures he laid down for us, and the example that him and his household provide, those are the true immortality. And as a spiritual message, are more important than the alchemist's quest. I'm sorry, Puteri, but the documents you've brought us, they're of tremendous importance and excitement to us. And if there is anything that we can do for you, we will, of course, work to provide whatever help we can. But it is simply not the case that they have secrets or revelations regarding this vault.
Okay. So I think we're gonna pause here a second, because the other question is, you mentioned you were setting up for a deal with.
I may have changed my mind.
Yeah, that's fine,
I think
because also I'm looking at the time and like there's 30 minutes left.
we can carry this scene for a bit, and then we say, like, or we could leave it here, right? I think I want to see Suria's reaction to this, right?
Yeah.
We'll carry this scene for a bit, and then I'll let's keep it in mind and bear a close at whatever point.
Of course. I would, however, point to the fact that even were there no secrets of immortality, no clues to a new path, the vault you sealed remains of great historical and spiritual value. And as it is not a tomb, it does not break any strictures. Unsealing it would net you even more documents of value.
My most sincere apologies, Brittoni. The documents you've brought us say that what we have always believed has in fact always been true. They identify the person who was buried in this tomb. An important discovery because they were not part of our genealogies before this. We will have to work some of our most ancient guesses and suppositions. There was a person that an old practice in Otson, one that we've since moved away from. Some ancient ancestors were known by titles rather than by their names in funeral inscriptions. To prevent the use of their name after the death from calling them back from their sleep. This person that was buried here is identified very clearly as Yellow Moss. Putori, I say once again, read these documents, see for yourself. In your haste, you must have made a mistake. And I don't wish to anger you. We will give you whatever help you want. These are great gifts of much value to us. But the vault is a tomb, must remain closed.
Do you believe White Moss to be a pseudonym as well? What was it? White bark, sorry.
White bark, yeah.
And like these are the terms that like are the ingredients, right? That I believe are the ingredients to the after immortality.
Yeah, so you gave him the scrapings off the and not any of the lab notes. And the scrapings off the wall identified 4 gifts that they'd given the I think they didn't identify this tomb's gift at all. I think it was the lab notes that you were chasing up that spoke about this tomb, right?
Been a while.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case. Because the yellow moss wasn't mentioned until the lab notes you were reading.
So the yellow moss wasn't mentioned at all in the scrapings?
In the scrapings, no. And I think at the words white bark, he shakes his head. He says, I don't believe I read that name. The vault you went to, it says in these notes that it had a different purpose. That it was a repository for this blessing and this history. A safe place that it would not be disturbed. But not one that was sealed as a tomb. One that was sealed as a record, to be opened and to be closed. It lists others of these vaults. And it names the people entombed. Yellow moss, red earth, two other tombs.
But no white bark.
I'm not sure where you're taking that name from.
Hmm.
Perhaps we could read over the notes and
Yes.
I could explain where you've gone wrong.
I'm sure I will find that enlightening.
I will have to ask you. Unfortunately, that will take us some time. And although I don't want you to feel like I'm throwing you out, but I have other duties to attend to today.
Of course.
If you wish to take these notes away with you, feel free to. This is your copy after all.
Appreciate it. And I think I will. You say there's no trace of that. Perhaps I will have to reread that too. I thank you for your understanding. When would be a good time for me to visit again?
Tomorrow is the day of the farmers. So absolutely not tomorrow. We'll be even more busy than we are today. But the day after tomorrow is the day of the noble court. I will be taken up with long ceremonies, but with long gaps between them. If you're willing to wait a little while, then no matter when you come in the day, I will have ample time to spare.
Very well. We shall meet then. If there is nothing else,
I will make sure to have an assistant with me. These things, translations, are difficult, and the more eyes cover them at once, the easier it is to see what they truly say.
yeah. I think we probably should wrap up there.
I think we can wrap up. So I think when you walk out, I think Tepiani, Tepiani sees that you're in a terrible mood. I think he waited outside the temple because it wasn't his temple. So he's a farmer by lineage.
Hmm.
So
It's
he's
his day tomorrow.
it's his day tomorrow, but he's not going to ask for the day off because it's not his city.
Not his
So
city anyway, so his
he can't
ancestors
actually
aren't
go
here.
and
Yeah.
So he'll spend some time in the evening making prayers, but it's the prayers you make when you're away from home, and those you do those you do anyway. I think he sees you in a terrible mood as you walk out. He says, "How did it go?"
As well as expected. I will need some time, Tebiani.
I wanted to. You're not the best at. You rub people up the wrong way sometimes. This vault has been sacred a long time. Just because they know it's not got a body in there doesn't mean that they're going to. Try again tomorrow and let me help. Well, I'm not sure I'll be of much help, but speak softly to them and quest it more pleasantly, maybe.
Tapiani, I thank you for your advice, but right now I'm very irritable. Have the night off. I expect I'll have calmed down by morning.
Thanks, mistress. Don't worry, they'll
Very
see.
irritable. If I were still doing episode names, that's a good one.
Okay. I think that's it.
Awesome! Alright. Shall we do some Arta?
We can, yeah.
Alright.
So,
they haven't exactly allowed me access to the vault. But I've tried, and apparently they accept that I'm useful.
I feel like if we'd had enough time to do the next scene that is clearly being pitched here,
yeah,
then we would have got Persona here. But
we have not.
I have told you what the obstacle is, but we have not yet surmounted it.
Okay. I haven't actually worked towards finding out about Blake, so I'm not taking fate for that. I really should have written a belief, right? About like
you should have changed
figuring
your
out who the spy is.
I'm gonna follow this.
Because I spent like a freaking hour on it.
You spent an hour on that. I mean,
it was a good scene. I liked it, but
yeah, I think we should have. If you were playing the, I'm not gonna be able to like double think my way into running the game and also running your beliefs.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's my job. Right? Knowledge to Ionian, everything else million to it.
Oh, you have shared knowledge with the ignorant today. You have given a vast number of people far more information about very sketchy business than they ought to have. Luckily, none of them can run these experiments properly. But
look,
like,
I'll be fine. The cure's right there. I don't know what you're talking about, Ollie. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, like, yeah, you, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So maybe what you're saying seems to be telling me I might be double dipping here as well. The other issue. I got two beliefs about it. I got a belief and an instinct about it. So maybe I need
knowledge
to change
is the only end. Everything is.
I
mean, knowledge is the only end is about like getting knowledge for yourself, and then the instinct is about giving out knowledge, right? So I think that's fine because
I'm lobbying for both, right? One by giving it out.
I feel like knowledge is the only end. The long scene chasing the spy absolutely right.
And also like just walking into somebody's house and be like, "Yo, who you?"
I'm gonna read the Persona thing because maybe I can give a like. Hang on, fate beliefs. Persona. No. Personal goals. Characters who accomplish personal goals: revenge, promotion, seduction, victory, earn a Persona point. Goals either clearly described in the character's belief or should be explicitly stated. Yeah, okay. So, no. I was thinking like maybe I could stretch belief 3 to be like you've learned good enough information that it's worth a Persona, but I think it just never is, right?
Yeah, it's okay. Right.
Yeah.
I'll catch you next time. I'll learn my lesson.
Yeah. The only time belief 3 gives you Persona is when you which is fine. Cool. So we take
Tutor,
fate.
fate, which means I'm
Fate.
up to 9.
You
I
take an
didn't spend
incredible.
any fate this game because I just
No.
either rolled really well or really poorly.
Well, we've also made far fewer rolls.
Yeah,
Um.
doing some setup.
Yeah.
Can knock them out next session. Alright, have a time down, opportunity card, rare antecedent. Did not happen. Always demand the respect and diversity of my lineage. I feel like kind of, but also not like in a way which really got me in trouble. Or changed
Yeah.
the character.
Yeah. If you'd been a real dick and been like, "Excuse me, you need to call me princess, but I'm gonna call you," even though I don't technically have the full, like, you know.
Yeah, I just wasn't gonna call her princess anyway, so.
No, you're not.
Uh, uh, I felt like walking into somebody's house.
Yes.
It was pretty
Yes. You
aggressive.
take one for either aggressive or imperious. No, aggressive, definitely. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a bit of imperious in like the whole like priest conversation. He is like very bad at respecting people's religious beliefs.
Hmm.
But I don't think he got her in trouble. So that's that. Okay. We've done as much art as we can on the character sheet. We will
Yep.
now look at embodiment.
Whoops. There we are.
Humor.
I don't think so.
There were some humorous moments. There weren't
There were
any
humorous
laugh out
moments, but like
loud
that. No, it weren't any
humor.
laughed out loud. No, that's gonna be lower, I think.
Right skill, right time did not happen.
Nope.
And of course an MVP. Yeah,
Embodiment, I don't think so. Mold Breaker, I don't think so.
I think that's not. And I'm glad we're probably gonna end up in some kind. We're going to have to end up in some kind of conflict soon before my fate bloat gets even worse.
Yeah, you're gonna get a conflict next
And
session
fate.
because like I don't see the.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
like that's a
I
pretty
think.
good setup for
Whatever
the
happen,
deal
like
with.
whatever happens. Yeah. Sorry. What are you gonna say?
That's a pretty good setup for a deal with, right? Like going through the document and like arguing the points from there.
Yes. Yeah. So you could like. I think next session with the priest, like in 2 days' time, like that can absolutely be a duel of wits priest to convince him that the document that he's got
Saying something else.
is saying something different.
Yep. Definitely.
In
See that
fact,
one. Yeah.
no, I think that's only if you fail a roll. No, we'll think about it like next time because like one of the things that I'm thinking right now is that I have a really good idea of what's going on, but that doesn't necessarily have to be set in stone, right?
Right.
So to pull back the curtain here, like what I think has gone on, and this is a role
They've
that I would have
changed
called
them.
for at the start of next time, is that the
Changed the
document
paper.
that you are reading is not the same as the document
Yeah,
that
I
you
figured that
took in
was
the temple.
what was going on.
And so like the next role I'd call for, like the role I would be calling for there is the arts and language role to prove that you read the language well enough that you wouldn't have made a mistake, right? To say to him like, I know that it said something different.
Except I'd like.
And
Is the odds and language skill supposed? No, ancient language thing.
ancient languages, that's it, yeah. Ancient
Well,
languages.
I guess I'm
We got,
fucked.
yeah. And so failure on that would be that like you can't prove it either way. And so at that point, you could have a full duel of wits. Like you could say like, no matter like this is a difficult language, it's an old language. Like there's probably still room to argue that the interpretation should be different. Because it's going to be like, I'm not saying set in stone, they've rewritten it to say one thing. I'm saying like all of the conversation we just had is it's partly interpretative, right? Sorry. The It's not a real language, so we can just say they are pulling this thing about like it being identified as a person out of their metaphorical bumholes.
Yeah.
And so there is going to be like, even if you fail that roll, there is going to be space for a duel of wits where you
argument.
convince him that it is in fact saying something different. If you pass the roll, like, hey, you can do what you like with that, right? But I don't think you should expect him to. Like, I think this is it's a difficult task you've set yourself, and the way I'm interpreting that in terms of narrative is I'm going to put multiple obstacles in the way of you ever having standing to make a roll to get into the vault via the front door.
So what you're actually telling me, Ollie, is that I've got to shift my belief just a bit, so I still get persona at the end of the day.
Yeah, honestly, like writing beliefs in clever ways, absolutely great idea. But
Gonna have to work
I'm
on
not
that.
saying your beliefs are ever invalid here. I'm saying this.
Yeah,
It's an interesting way to go about the problem, and it's a fun way to like. If you do fail doing this, it's fun because like we get to see. Well, but we also get to see the pre-heist scene, right? We don't just go like, okay, Suria can't be bothered to talk to people, so she's gonna break in straight away, right? And that would have been less interesting.
Yeah, not straight away, but you want to push the character there.
Yeah, you want to push the character towards that.
Yeah, like I'm not getting the message that like my beliefs are invalid. Just that they might need a bit tweaking because of the like scale of the task, right? So sometimes when you write a belief, you want to break that down a bit more, so that it's more possible for you to get persona in that session. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I had fun this session. Excited to see what happens next, but I'm also really cutting it close.
Yeah, that's great. I think one thing I want to do between this and next session is work out some more bangs I can put in and like push stuff at you rather than just like let you, because so far we've had you setting every single, which is good. That is how we expect things to mostly be for a solo session. But I feel like we're reaching the point where I ought to be pushing scenes onto you as well, right?
Yeah.
Moving the other direction and saying like, you don't get a choice. This is happening.
I mean, that's what happened for the first half, right? Like,
that's what happened for the very first half, yeah. But I feel like I want to keep doing that.
That's cool. Like, I'll just need to start recognizing those banks and shift beliefs as required sometimes.
Oh yeah. Right. Cool. It's been a lot of fun. I will see you next week on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, we're doing it Sunday. Are we still doing 8:30?
Yeah, 8:30.
Okay, cool. Have a good week.
Cool. See you.
Press this button now.